Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and today we're going to be talking about the best Nike hoop shoes that you can get right now. And this is kind of like the more newer models, right? So I'm not going to include the LeBron 20 because the LeBron 21 came out, you know? So Nike has been killing it. There has been some amazing shoes coming out, and I've loved playing in a lot of their shoes. Compared to like Under Armour. Under Armour is, I feel like, super duper lazy. I don't know why this is turning into a rant about Under Armour, but have you seen their shoes lately, guys? I mean, all of their shoes are recycled. Pretty much the UA, what was it? The Flow Future X, the 3 came out. It's the exact same shoe as the 2, right? There's a new Spawn, but the Spawn is pretty much, they're recycling the outsole and midsole. They're doing the same thing with the 3-0 line, right? And also Curry signature shoe line is pretty much the same exact shoe as the 8, 9, 10, right? So anyway, sorry. So I did do a top 10. Now, I usually don't do top 10, and it's very, very hard to say because, like, you know, 3 is 1 better than 2? Not necessarily. I mean, you know what I mean? In some instances, 2 can be better than 1. So it's like, because a shoe is higher up on the list doesn't mean it'll be better for you guys, right? I'm just saying this is from my experience and what I like, you know what I mean? And obviously, this is just my list, you know? So if you do disagree, and I feel like a lot of you guys will disagree because everyone has their own tastes and what they like in a hoop shoe, like how it fits, how the traction, what category is more important to you and stuff like that. But again, if you guys do want to cop any of these shoes, I try to leave the link in the description box. Nike does have some pretty good sales going on, but let's get it started off with number 10, and that is the Jordan Tatum 1. Of course, Jordan is owned by Nike, so that's why I'm putting it on this list, and you can get the Tatum 1 on Nike.com, right? But anyways, the Tatum 1 is a very, very nice performer. However, there are some flaws in it, in my personal opinion. So the traction does pick up a little bit of dust, right? And it definitely does pick up way more dust than any of the other shoes on this list. And then it's not super supportive. Like, the upper is super duper soft, and just how the shoe feels, it's not very supportive, even for lateral containment for me. So that's why it's way lower on the list. It's still nice though. I do enjoy playing in it. I love the great court feel. Also, the cushioning setup is great. You have nice bounce in the forefoot, like the very, very large volume zooming in the forefoot. You have very nice compression in the heel. It's like very soft. Also, I love how lightweight that shoe is, right? So super duper nice. It's just there are a few flaws for the Tatum 1. So yeah, there's number 10. Moving on to number 9, we got the Nike GT Hustle 2, right? So the predecessor of that shoe was the GT Run, right? And I really didn't like that shoe. But the Hustle 2 is really nice, you know? It is very, very flexible. You know what I mean? It feels like there's really no midfoot chain plate. So if you do need torsional support, obviously this is not the best option, but I don't really need it all too much, and it was adequate for me. The traction is overall really good. I definitely wouldn't say it's top tier, but it is a solid traction. And also the cushioning setup super nice, right? So as far as the like zoom unit goes, it has a full length zoom strobel unit. However, it has the best court feel that I've felt so far with a shoe that has full-length zoom strobel, right? So it has pretty good court feel. It's not amazing, you know what I mean? It's not like, you know, the Shockwave 5 or the KT9 Harden Volume 7 level court feel, but it's still really, really nice for zoom, like full-length zoom stroke, right? And you have that nice bounce, compression. Also, the foam is very soft, right? The upper quality is terrible, especially for how expensive that shoe is, right? 170 bucks for that quality is absolutely insane. So Nike, please give us better quality uppers. I feel like that's something that they're lacking in, you know? But yeah, super minimal. It's very, very thin upper. Support was adequate for me, although it's not the most supportive shoe. So yeah, that's why it's a little bit lower on the list, but it's still a very fun shoe to play in. I do like the full-length zoom strobel unit combined with the really good core feel, right? So there is number 9. Moving on to number 8, we got the Jordan 38, right? So the Jordan 38 is very, very nice. I mean, it has the full-length zoom strobel unit, but it's a little bit more supportive because of the upper, right? The traction, I would say, is around the level of the GT Hustle 2, right? So it's a good traction, but it's not top tier because it still does pick up a little bit of dust. If you're playing on a clean court, however, very, very good bites, right? I still wouldn't say top tier, but you have solid bites, but it does pick up dust like the Tatum 1, which is kind of annoying, you know what I mean? And I constantly have to wipe, so that's another reason why it's a little bit lower on the list. But the full-length zoom strobel is super duper nice, of course. And the upper, the quality is actually pretty nice, right? It still does feel pretty thin, but also, like I said, supportive. So, and I am waiting for the low version. It has leaked, so I'm pretty excited about that as well. But the Jordan 38 is still a very nice performer, but it is super duper expensive. I think it was like 180 bucks. So, but I guess the more expensive shoes are on the lower end of the list, which is good, right? All right, moving on to number 7, we got the Nike KD16. So overall, it's a great performer. However, there's two things I didn't really like about that shoe, right? So overall, it is a pretty heavy shoe, especially compared to the shoes that I really like to play in. I'm not saying it's super bulky and super heavy, but it's just on the heavier side of things, right? And also the traction, it's solid. It's a solid traction, but I miss the KD14, KD15 traction, which was absolutely amazing. It was top tier, amazing bites, you know? So yeah, the KD16, however, the cushion's super nice. You know, we have the very, very large volume zoom unit in the forefoot, and then we have the air strobe unit in the heel, which is super soft and very nice for step and comfort. And the upper and the overall shoe is super duper supportive, right? I would say it's one of the most supportive shoes on this list so far, right? Comparing to like the GT Hustle 2 and also the Tatum 1. But the KD16 is an overall very solid shoe, overall solid shoe, right? If you're a guard, I feel like it'll be pretty good. And also if you're a bigger dude, it'll be pretty good, right? So there's number 7. Moving on to number 6, we got the Nike Sabrina 1. So the Sabrina 1, I really like playing that shoe. The traction is really solid, right? I would say it's a little bit better than KD16, but I would also say it's not top tier. You know what I mean? But still very, very nice. And then the cushion also I really like. We have a zoom in the forefoot, which feels nice and bouncy. You have nice compression. So that's a nice little bounce in the forefoot. And then the heel, we have it's full length React, but in the heel, it's super duper soft and you have nice compression and you have nice bounce. And then the upper is super duper thin, right? It doesn't feel like the most durable upper, right? But it's a super thin and very quality upper. I do like that kind of like knit or textile material that they're using. So the Sabrina 1 is a great option, especially if you want a very lightweight and kind of guard-like and responsive shoe, right? It also does suck. It feels very similar to the GT Hustle 2 where it doesn't really have a midfoot chain plate, right? So torsion support isn't the best, right? All right, moving on to number 5, we got the Nike Jaw 1. The Jaw 1 is super duper nice and it's super cheap. It's $110. Traction is top tier. You have amazing bites. It bites your dust really well too. And then for the cushion, it's very similar to the Sabrina 1. You have a top-loaded zoom in the forefoot, and also the heel cushion is pretty nice. It's just more soft. The Sabrina 1 has more bounce because it's React. The Jaw 1 is just more like soft and just has compression, right? The upper is a lot more supportive, however, than the Sabrina 1, which I do like because I need a little bit more support because I'm pretty shifty, right? And if I'm doing lateral movements and stuff like that, I need a little bit more than the Sabrina ones, you know? So that felt very nice, but it's also super duper lightweight shoe. And the upper, like the material is very, very thin still, right? And it's broken in and it conforms to my foot still very well. So I really absolutely love playing in the Jaw 1. And now moving on to number 4, we got the Zoom Freak 5. So it's pretty much the same exact shoe as the Jaw 1. Very, very similar feel. However, the heel cushion is a little bit better, right? It feels very similar to the Sabrina 1. It has more bounce than the Jaw 1, but it's still soft and has nice compression. And then it has a zoom in the forefoot, right? Traction is top tier. I really like the traction. It's better than the Sabrina 1 from my experience. And then the upper is still, it feels very similar to the Jaw 1. So it's thin, it's supportive and stuff like that. And it's more supportive than the Sabrina 1, right? It's not more supportive than the Jaw 1, but it's more supportive than the Sabrina 1. So I feel like the Freak 5 does blend the Sabrina 1 and the Jaw 1 and make the overall a little bit better performer than the Jaw 1 and Sabrina 1, right? So there is a Freak 5 coming in number 4. And now moving on to number 3, we got the LeBron Next Gen. And the Next Gen is a little bit older, but the Next Gen is still available and it's a very, very nice shoe. And there's some amazing colorways of that shoe coming out. So the traction is really, really good. I wouldn't say it's top tier, right? But it's still a very, very nice, solid bite. It does pick up a little bit more dust. It might be due to the fact that my colorway is a translucent outsole. There are some solid rubber options available, but it was still a very nice traction, right? The cushion also is super duper nice, right? We have a zoom turbo unit in the forefoot, and then the heel we have a top-loaded zoom unit, right? So that feels great. And then the upper is super minimal, but also does provide good support. It's not the most supportive shoe, but it's adequate, right? I would say it's a little bit better than the Sabrina 1 for me. Comparable to the Zoom Freak 5, maybe a little bit less, right? Especially on lateral containment, but amazing performance. I love how lightweight that shoe feels. So Next Gen is an amazing option. Coming in at number 2, we got the Zion 3, guys. I'm still testing it, but I've been playing it and I absolutely love playing that shoe right now. And I feel like I'm gonna start loving it more, right? So it's kind of weird because some of you guys have been reporting that the dust performance isn't the best, but for me, it's been really solid. You know what I mean? Some shoes that I'm testing right now have been slipping out on dust, right? Because I do play on like 24-hour fitness, LA Fitness course, and they do get pretty dirty, right? But then the Zion 3 bites through it really, really well, and then it doesn't really pick up dust that quickly either, but if it does, then just do an easy slight wipe and it's still really good to go, you know? The traction is really good. I love the drop in midsole. Yeah, it's pretty much the only shoe that Nike has to offer with a drop in midsole. So yeah, I love that Formula 23 foam. Amazing step in comfort, and then you have that bottom loaded zooming in the forefoot, which gives you nice bounce, you know. And then the upper is super nice. Yeah, it's supportive but also thin and minimal, and it feels very similar to, like, you know, the Kobe 9 and the Kobe 11, which of course is a great thing. So yeah, I've absolutely loved playing in the Jordan Zion 3. And now moving on to number 1, we got a drum roll, and obviously it's the only shoe that's pretty much available or left, right? And that is the Nike LeBron 21, and this shoe is freaking amazing, guys. And it's so weird to have a number 1 LeBron. I mean, I feel like for the past, I've been doing this for a while. It's almost a decade now, almost 9 years, guys. And yeah, I don't think since I've been doing this, I mean, obviously these lists are just my personal opinion, but LeBrons have never really been like number 1, I don't think, if I remember correctly, you know what I mean? But with the redesign, you know, from the 20, right, it's been absolutely amazing. It felt like a Kobe, it looks like a Kobe. Well, I mean, the 21 doesn't, but the 20 did, right? Low top designs, lighter, but with still really nice cushion, but not too much cushion, which has been the LeBrons for the past like 10 years, you know what I mean? So yeah, I love the cushioning setup. It's one of the best cushioning setups that Nike has to offer. It's not too much, you know what I mean? So you have a Zoom turbo unit in the forefoot. It's top loaded, so you have a nice bounce, but also it's articulated, right? So it's not unstable or anything. And then the heel, we have a very large volume Zoom unit that's bottom loaded, but also we have a good amount of compression from the actual foam. The support's great, traction is top tier. It does slide out a little bit for the traction if it does get stuck on it too much, but if you keep up with your wipes, you're good to go. The upper is, like, it's the leather material, but it's still super thin in the toe box, while also being like supportive, you know what I mean? So it's supportive and thin and minimal, right? So I do like the upper, but also I love how the tongue feels with that kind of like stitching. It's like upholstery, right? And then in the ankle area, we have very nice padding as well. It's comfortable, and it's not super heavy. It's like average weight. You know, it's slightly, I feel, if I remember correctly, it was like a little bit lighter than average. So LeBron 21 is an amazing performer, and I absolutely love playing it. But is it better than everything else on this list? I mean, there are shoes, or I guess some instances or some times where I'd be like, oh, I kind of want to play in the Zion 3 a little bit more, or the Ja 1s, you know, if I want something a little bit more responsive, right? It's interchangeable. They're all really, really good shoes. Like the top 5, in my personal opinion, are absolutely amazing performers, and I can pretty much interchange them, you know what I mean? But right now, I really like playing the LeBron 21, so that's why I'm putting it at number 1, right? But anyways, that about concludes my list of the top 10 Nike hoop shoes that you can get right now. Again, if you guys want to cop any of these shoes, I try to leave them link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.